So this was Atlas's idea. He wanted me to talk about skateboarding and to put a skateboard in front of you. So I figured I would just get all the parts to do such a thing because it was going to be fun. And yeah, it's working. Hi, yes, I know, I'm an idiot. But I'm new to this, whatever, I'll get over it. But anyway, so I'm going to go through all my little parts and then talk about what I'm going to do, because this is like, skateboarding for me has always been my way of clearing my head. It's my therapy, and I mean, aside from actual psychotherapy, but I love it. I've been doing it for 20 years and I suck for how long I've been doing it, and I fall all the time, but I love it nonetheless, and it's an important part of my life. So I'm going to start with the parts. So this is a Habitat skateboard, and Habitat, I grew up in New York City, and I grew up skating in New York City. And Habitat and Alien Workshop, they were sister companies, and they, as far as like the East Coast goes, there was such like a part of East Coast culture, and New York City and Philadelphia, and I grew up skating with like some of the pros on Habitat and Alien Workshop. So forever, it just feels like home, and that's why I love these boards. And on top of it, I actually, from like a skateboarding perspective, I love the shape of them. They just feel right to me, and like it's like if I pick up a Les Paul, I feel I'm at home, and it's the same thing. I step on a Habitat board, and I just feel this is it. And then also, it is fun because, well, it's red, which is my favorite color, and it's got a lion on it, and I've been told I'm a Leo by the more astrologically inclined. So this felt appropriate. And then so there's like this hole in the grip tape. And what I did, because I usually don't like holes in grip tape, but this is just kind of how it came. I took one of these stickers that Earthquaker Devices gave me. They make really awesome guitar pedals. And I stuck it underneath there and then put the grip tape on top of it. And that's kind of how I did this thing. It's pretty fun. So now let's go to the trucks. Trucks are just the old Independents. These are Stage 11 hollow. I've always liked indies. They turn better than anything else. They feel better, and I like my trucks really loose also, which is, I have bushings hidden somewhere around here. There they are. So we're gonna swap out the bushings as well for softer bushings, because I actually ride my truck so loose that basically it's tight enough that the bolt doesn't actually unscrew. But any tighter than that, I don't like it. I like it really loose. So that is what I'm gonna do with the trucks. Wheels, just some regular Spitfire Formula 4 52 millimeter wheels. Spitfire always feels right to me. They always have. The Formula 4 ones feel great. Once again, there's some red on the wheel. I always try to get some red on the wheel. Red is a theme in my life. And they also say, if you like red, you're a passionate person. Well, that is true in many ways, some good and some bad. But anyway, these are going to be my wheels. And then I have some just independent black bearings. They're black and red, and they're solid. They're not too expensive, which is nice, because the Swiss bearings are great, but Swiss bearings, they're 60, 70 bucks a pop, and it's pretty easy to go through bearings, especially in LA, where there's a lot of dust, and they get clogged up really easily, and I just don't want to always be cleaning them, so I'd rather just get cheaper ones and just throw them out. And then lastly, just some bolts, and that's that. So let's, I suppose the first thing to do, we're gonna have to put the trucks on the skateboard. That's gonna be what we're gonna do. So I'm also gonna have a sip of wine, and by all means, if you have questions or whatever, this is not music for once, which is cool. I get to talk about something I'm passionate about that has nothing to do with music. So first, we should probably replace the bushings. So Eel skate tool, very, very handy. And let's take that guy off. Be Gone Orange. And Hello Red. And they're not just red because they're red, they're softer bushings too. So it's just convenient that it happens to be red, but that is not the reason they're like that. So this guy, he goes on the bottom. The truck goes back here. And I'll move this here for now. There. Then this is the top guy, the little cylindrical one. He goes there. Washer. Screw it back on. And this will get ultimately fixed later, or it'll get properly tightened later. Ah. Yeah, I am legit a skater from New York, it's true. Yeah, I'm filming this on a GoPro. I tried to do it, I just got a Sony a6400 a week ago. That's what I've been doing these other YouTube videos, or 2 weeks ago. And my capture card, which is some like miniature black magic thing, I guess it's older, and the resolution on the a6400 is too high, and consequently it can't stream. So I'm just using the old GoPro, which for our purposes works fine. The audio is coming from a shotgun mic, but yep, it's just a GoPro, which is, you know, harkens back to skate culture also. Let's use an action camera. It's kind of fun. And Queens, New York, yeah? Hell yeah. I grew up going to Supreme always on Lafayette. And it was pretty funny back then because Supreme was kind of big, but it wasn't big like it is now. I don't think they had an LA store yet or anything like that. I believe it was just the original one in New York and Soho. And then there was also 2 satellites in Japan. And so you'd get there at, like, me and my friends would get there at like 10:30 in the morning. And there'd be a line around the block of Japanese tourists, basically. And they were all trying to buy a ton of Supreme stuff so then they could all send it back to Japan and sell it for a huge markup. So they knew us because we were actually skaters. And Supreme started as a skate shop. And so like Akira, who was the guy behind the desk, he would just like pull us in like, guys, get in here real quick, and just like close the door right after. And all the tourists were like, oh, this isn't fair, why? And then they'd go and, you know, they'd hook us up with whatever we needed. So we always started at Supreme. And yeah, now Supreme is a meme, no rhyme intended. Kind of funny how that worked out. But yeah, so Supreme was always really my neighborhood skate shop. There also was another one. God, it was it closed, but it was right across the street from Tompkins Square Park, which is also, that was a big part of where we'd meet up to go skating. And they would bring out like boxes and rails and put them right into Tompkins, which is what we all called like the TF, training facility. And that was, yeah, I mean, that was such a big part of New York City culture back then too. This is early 2000s. There's like 2001, 2002, 2003. And that, I mean, you would meet up with everybody there, and everybody who was in the New York City skate scene would go to Tompkins. I mean, it was just, you'd meet everybody. The culture was great. It was so fun. But yeah, so now I just gotta make holes in the grip tape. I really should have gotten it all to do this. Yeah, you know what? I need to get a tool. I'll be right back.
Success.
Okay, so I always need this really to put holes in the grip tape, and this grip tape's pretty thick. It's just the stuff that Habitat gave me, so I don't really know exactly what brand it is. But usually I like to get the Mob grip stuff, but the Mob stuff I have, it's actually kind of folded and has these really ugly creases in it, and consequently it doesn't go on the board very nicely. So I have a whole stockpile of all this other stuff that I was just kind of given when I bought other boards, and so I'm just using the Habitat stuff for now. Did I spin back then too? No. I have played at Webster Hall, but not, I mean, I did that in the last 5 or 6 years or something like that. But, yeah. Excuse me. allergies. Not coronavirus, I swear. Even if I did have it, I couldn't give it to you. But, no, I didn't get into DJing until I think I was 22. I didn't even know a thing about dance music until I was really 22 or something, 21, 22. I didn't even like it. And, you know, you learn, you get involved in it, but it was kind of accidental that I fell into it. And then that's kind of how that all happened. So yeah, I'm just making these holes nice and easy for the bolts to go in, the hardware, as they call it. So now we've got our holes, and so with these bolts, they're all black, with the exception of, or it's 6 black, and then 2 silver. And I always like to have these 2 silvers in the second row of the front of my deck. It's just something I've always done. Yeah, I just like it like that. Go in. There we go. And it's funny, it's very rare you set up a skateboard with completely new parts. I mean, I find I probably only do it about once a year. And then I go through a deck every month, give or take. But a lot of the other stuff, like the wheels, usually last for the year. Trucks, I mean, I usually replace all of it at once, to be honest, just so I can start with a whole new complete, as they say. It's kind of fun. But this was a good enough excuse to do it, and it's been about a year. I sometimes do it for my birthday, which is in August, so, you know, we're a little premature right now, but whatever. What do you guys say? Oh, bless me. Thank you. Come on. How did I get into skateboarding? Trying to remember originally. I mean, when I was like 7, I had a neighbor. He was a couple years older than me, and he was into it. And we would look at like the CCS catalogs, and it was like the original like Alien Workshop graphics and stuff like that. I mean, I was so into it. But I didn't. And then I had like a cheapo skateboard that came from like Caldor, which was like a Walmart kind of thing, and did that, like learned how to like basic stuff and like go on like little jumps and things like that, but I didn't get obsessed with it until I was 13. And I don't know exactly what the turning point was, except I think suddenly it was just, you know what, I want to get back into skateboarding, and I bought a real board. And man, I just got the bug, and I never let go of it. Like, it just always became such a important part of my life after that. And now it's been 20 years, which is shocking. In 2018, I looked at TGM skateboards. Oh! Yeah, I've totally ordered stuff from TGM before. That's really funny, yeah. I think usually grip tape, to be honest. But, because I've gotten a lot of... like usually when I get the Mob grip, I'll just get a stack of it from Amazon, and I think a lot of that comes from TGM. So that's really funny. Small world. Worst skateboard injury I've ever had. Well, the worst one is when I was 16. I think it was 16. I tore all the cartilage in my right ankle. And I was on crutches for 3 months, and I couldn't skate for 6, and lots of fun stuff. It was miserable, to be honest. But and actually, still to this day, like my ankle has never been the same after that. But you know, now and then it's a repetitive injury. About 4 years ago, I really hurt it again, and that time I had to do physical therapy for 6 months. So now I have to wear an ankle brace, and I have to wear high tops, which is why I always wear these like they're like Nike Blazers. Yeah, they're the Nike Blazer highs, because I can't skate a low top anymore. I need a high top for the ankle protection and an ankle brace. And it really makes you feel old when you have to start doing all this stuff. But I still get to skate, and that makes me pretty happy. So, you know, it's fine. But then The funnier one, so about a year later, I was really into stair sets at the time, and I mean, it was fun. Like everyone in New York, they were all into ledges and like tech skating, and when I was that young, I was always looking at California and looking at jumping down handrails and big stair sets, and that's my favorite skaters weren't really the tech guys. My favorite skaters were people like Andrew Reynolds and Jamie Thomas, and even like Brian Anderson, but he was an East Coast guy who went really gnarly. But then there was of course like the Alien and Habitat guys, like Jason Dill's part at the end of Photosynthesis is one of just the most amazing things, and then PJ Ladd is just, my God, when he came on the scene, he changed everything. And I still, like, one of my favorite tricks was like a caballerial kickflip, fakey 360 kickflip. That is like, that's a PJ trick. I learned that from watching him, and I think what, 15 years later I could finally do it. Kind of funny how that worked out. So there's that. Now we just got to tighten these. And how often do I get to go skate? You know, before all of this happened, I mean, this Twilight Zone moment we're in, about three to four times a week, and now it's basically every other day. And the great thing about skateboarding, I mean, it's all the skate parks are closed, so you can't go to like a crowded skate park right now anyway, so that's not a thing. But it's a pretty isolating sport. I mean, it's a very individualized thing. So I'm not worried about being around people because it's just me and my friend Zizi, and you know, we're wearing like long sleeves and gloves now and being super paranoid. But yeah, so now basically every other day, which is fun. And now all the schools are actually closed, so I'm getting to go like do the LA, you know, skating schools thing. And cops came by today and they just watched us. They didn't even kick us out. I mean, it was kind of cool. So, any update on Dichotomy? Yes. We just figured out what the singles are going to be this past week. And the album should be dropping, the release date as we have it set now, it's August. And the first single will be June. So that is the tentative plan. Things are pretty fluid right now, you know, because the whole world is pretty fluid right now. But we'll see how it goes, you know. But that's the plan. I mean, I'm excited to finally get the fucking thing out there, you know. But Rodney Mullen, yeah. Man, I used to love Rodney Mullen versus Day One song, like Volume 2, I think. And they used that song from The Matrix, Club to Death by Rob D. Oh, God, that was such a cool song. And there's kind of, I don't know, I always find a little bit of like a zen thing to doing this. I mean, some people find it washing dishes. I don't. I hate washing dishes. But, or folding laundry or something like that. But I always found it kind of meditative to put together a new skateboard. So I dig it. I guess. Care to share what kind of wine you're enjoying? Yeah, it's just a Chianti. What is it? Grifone Reserva Chianti. It was like $5.99 at Trader Joe's. And even though if you guys have gone to Trader Joe's in the last few weeks, I'm sure it's not too dissimilar from how it is now, at least over here. And, you know, there are these ridiculous lines to get in. And it's pretty brutal. So, I mean, I'm only going grocery shopping once a week right now, which is also a new thing for me because I would always go grocery shopping like basically every 2 days and just get what I needed to cook that night and have leftovers the next day. So now I'm shopping for the week ahead, which is a very domesticated thing. And every time I go, it's like 6 bottles of wine. So it's, yeah, I've been getting that like Grifone Chianti. It's cheap, it's easy, and yeah, tastes decent. So that's what that is. Is the Calliope series finished? Oh, no, it's not. It will, I wouldn't even say it's on hiatus. It's just I kind of get to it when I get to it. And yeah, it's just, that stuff takes a lot of work, and I kind of have to be in the right headspace to write those kinds of songs also. And I'm not going to be writing any depressing heartbreak songs right now because I'm actually pretty content, which is, you know, not a normal place for me. But in a bizarre way, yeah, with this whole pandemic going on, I'm actually as busy now or busier than I usually am because I created all these projects for myself to do, including YouTube stuff. And now it's like all these obligations I have to fulfill, which is, and I have to do it all at home, obviously. And it's like, it's really kind of messing with me. Like I'm really productive because I now have to be. And so, I mean, yeah, I don't know when, there will be more Calliope stuff. It's just a matter of, you know, getting through these other projects I have at hand and inevitably, you know, breaking somebody's heart or them breaking mine, and then that kind of stuff just pours out of me. But no, instead right now I'm writing all this stuff for, I'm kind of using the inspiration of this like weird world we're living in right now, and like unofficial, kind of like just scoring, I guess, my experience of it, like treating this as if this were a film, and just writing it. And I'm trying to put stuff out every week, which is really challenging. The project is called Isolated because it's very on the nose, but my manager liked that. My manager likes it when things are not too hard to figure out, and you know, and I do, but it's a valuable thing to have someone say, maybe people should be able to understand what this means. So it's called Isolated. The first one comes out on Friday, and it's 2 tracks, and they're very like cinematic film score kind of things, and that's the majority of what I'm doing during this time because it's a really good creative outlet. Like I really enjoy doing that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm doing. What about washing your skateboard? No, I'm not really worried about that. Although I will say when I got like the parts for this, I totally did bleach wipe them because paranoia. And yeah, definitely kind of doing the wine diet. I can't shop at 1 a.m. I would love to. Everything's closing really early now. So everything's closed by like 7 or 8, which means you have to go pretty, well, at hours that are not usual. Although I would never do really late night shopping. I would usually, truthfully, I mean, and related to this, I would usually do my grocery shopping right after I went skating. So I'd come back from a skate park or whatever and then, you know, hit Trader Joe's on the way or Sprouts. And then, yeah, then come home and, you know, and then 2 days later when I'd go skating again, I'd hit the grocery store again. So that was kind of my routine. And is the situation impacting my business as an artist? Yeah, tremendously. I mean, the whole industry is shut down. So it's a really weird place to be in right now. And that's why I created all these things for me to do. And it's like the phones aren't ringing, that's for sure. And like kind of business plans I had in place are all on hold. Everything's on hold. So I created these things to give me something to do, and also when this whole thing eventually ends, I'll have this body of work to really show for it, and I think that's really valuable. So that's what's going on with that. But you know, we'll get through it. Just have to be smart. So interesting. They've got covers on both sides on that one. Oh. Because it fell off. I see. Well, so wheels. The way I do these, this is actually kind of like an homage to Andrew Reynolds because he's apparently, he had this whole thing years ago about him being like OCD about the number 3. I'm a little OCD about the number 3 and my birthday's on a 3 and whatever. So this is something he does and I've been doing for the last 17 years. But with these, I always have, because you see there's graphics on one side and then one side there isn't. So I always have 3 of my wheels with, actually, do I do it with the graphics out or with the I do 3 with the graphics out, or the graphics in, like that, so you can't see the graphic, and then one with the graphics out. And then the one that the graphics out, it's always basically the right front one, because that's where my kickflip goes, or that's where I would flip a kickflip. It's just how my brain works. So, gotta stick these on. Oh, good to hear. I was worried you... No, I have not moved on from Calliope. Not at all. No, that's like passion project stuff. That there will be no moving on from that. Don't you worry. I need to get these things out of there. These the spacers. Truthfully, I don't really know what the purpose of these are. And you know, they're gonna add extra weight. I'm not gonna use them. But bearings we need. So that goes here. Sweet. There's that. Bolt is here. What did you guys say? I loved your 7/8 DMB vid the other day. That was really useful. I never really knew how to use contact resampling. Oh, awesome. That's like, to be honest, that's how I use contact the most, is for resampling. Some library stuff, but in general, yeah, I mean, my favorite use of contact is absolutely resampling. Like, that's really what I love samplers for, in general. So let's flip this guy over. Do the next one. And oh, sweet. Can't wait to grab a shirt. Awesome. Well, thank you. That's appreciated. It's a fun little thing. I don't really make any money from it. It's like, because we're just doing it with like drop shipping, just so we could just try out ideas and whatever. But it's something that you know, people have asked for a long time, and it's a nice thing to see. I mean, it's kind of a funny thing to think like, oh, I could see someone wearing my own shirt at a show. I mean, I think I've seen it. Someone who did it like made their own, but yeah, it's kind of something that I've never really done for, frankly, no specific reason. Just never did. So I'm glad you guys are into it, because it's something that's very, very long overdue, and having the option to kind of just make things on the fly and try out different ideas, and that's it's gonna be a fun thing. I mean, yeah, this whole time is really, you know, it's forcing at least me to like think outside the box and just take advantage of this time I'm at home and come up with new ideas and new just like new things, or do things I've always meant to do but didn't, at least, you know, from like running a business wise and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of why all that stuff's going on. But you know, times they are a changin', as ye old Bob Dylan said. Let's flip these over. Is there an actual front and back on the board before you decide? Yeah. The shape is, I mean, a lot of boards are slightly different. Like the nose is I mean, this one's pretty symmetrical, but the nose is slightly longer than the tail. Just like, I can feel the difference. But it's pretty subtle. But you would tell. You'd be able to tell. So scoop out these. So I always have to remember, when I do this, the graphic has to be up, so that when I flip it down for the second time, the white is the white's down there. Otherwise, I have to redo it, and it's so much effort, obviously, to have to flip a wheel over. But those little things kind of annoy you eventually. And where did I had a gold washer. What did I do with that? It's around here somewhere. Come on, bearing, get out of here. I like the photo in the back. Did you take it? No, my brother took that actually. Oh, there's a gold washer. My brother is a very, very talented photographer and graphic designer, and that's a picture of the Brooklyn Bridge. And my parents are photographers also, and so they have access to, some pretty great printers. So they blew it up into that gigantic size, and it lives down here. I've got a few New York things actually down here. Then there's also like a cover, a New Yorker cover, because you can take the boy out of New York, but you can't take the New York out of the boy, right? That's how it goes. Yeah, so that's too tight. That's the story of that. Do I make my own artwork? Yes, 9 times out of 10 I do, unless like when I've done things with Anjuna Beats, for instance, they do everything themselves because they have a very, very tightly controlled branding, or a tightly controlled brand, so everything looks exactly like how they want it to, so it's all part of their series. I have been able to choose my colors, at least, of that kind of stuff. But my own album artwork, yes. Although for Dichotomy, I have a creative director on board this time, and he's going to be designing it because it's a much bigger project, and it's kind of above my proverbial pay grade, so to speak. So yeah, I have Darren on board, and that's going to be a huge difference because to have somebody who actually is like good at this stuff as opposed to me, I feel like I'm a hack. I know how to use a camera and I know like basics in Photoshop, but that's about really the extent of it. So that's kind of going to be the plan. And I don't know when we're going to do all that stuff now because once again, the modern times totally have really thrown a wrench into all of our plans, but c'est la vie. So that is that. We're pretty much almost all done here, which is wonderful. I'll tell you a story. This is kind of fun, a New York story. So I was living in New York, of course, when 9/11 happened, and I was, how old was I? 15. Yes. Yeah, I was 15. So I just remember being, well, I won't tell you that part of the story because that's just grim. But New York was grim. But the thing that was amazing was after 9/11 happened, so much of downtown was like ghost town. So we would go, we always skated in downtown, like down on Water Street or down by Wall Street during, Water Street in particular, during the weekends. And it was funny. Like there would be times where the cops just didn't care anymore because they had much bigger fish to fry, so they would never kick you out of anywhere. Security guards, they were jerks. And there were times where we'd be skating some building and the security guards would call the cops and say we were terrorists because it would mean the cops would get there in a second. And then the cops would get there and they'd be like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, you called us for skateboarders? And then the security guards would get in trouble and we could keep skating. It was the most bizarrely wonderful moment out of such an odd time. And in a way, this kind of feels like that too. We weren't quarantined, it's been 3 weeks here in LA, but yeah, that was a huge global event. So that was really, really bizarre. Elizabeth, I missed Jason's question. What's my snack of choice during these times? I'm not a big snacker, to be honest. I guess I've been drinking a fair amount of wine. I'll snack on some cheese every now and then. I'm eating a lot less right now than normal just because, I don't know. Actually, I don't. I'm only eating 2 meals a day. Maybe it's because I'm just in the house all the time, so I'm eating late, and then it's weird. Everything's upside down right now. But because I can't go to the bar anymore, I'm not drinking beer, which is an interesting thing because I don't. I mean, I very rarely ever buy beer at home. It's a social thing for me, and if I'm at home, it's like why drink all these extra calories if you're just gonna be by yourself? So consequently, I've lost like 6 pounds in the past 3 weeks because I'm not drinking beer, and it's not like I'm not drinking, like I'm drinking wine, but and liquor periodically. But yeah, it was one of these funny moments of looked in the mirror, damn, that was kind of fun. So yeah, in a bizarre way, this whole quarantine thing it's making me really productive. I'm really healthy, and yeah, and it's forcing me out of my comfort zone. I'm forced to do things like this, which is something I never really ever did before. Um, it's just I don't know. I mean, it's a terrible situation. So I look at it in the terms of you can either be totally miserable about it, which plenty of reasons to be miserable. I'm not discounting that. But once you get beyond the fact that we're in a really really surreal environment right now, how do you take advantage of it? How do you do something that how do you make the best of it? And how can you be productive during it? Like knowing like we have our own limitations now that are very different than the limitations we had a month ago. How do you bounce back from that? So that's kind of my plan right now. Is just since the phone's not ringing. I mean, I have a couple like projects, like third-party projects, like doing mixes for a couple people. But aside from that, I mean, everything is like I get to choose what I want to do right now entirely, and it's a really interesting time, and it's very, very, very liberating. Like I was talking to my friend Michelle like a week ago, and she's very spiritual, and she does tarot card readings and stuff like that, and she was giving me a reading, and which is something I had never really done before, but I wanted to see her do it because I knew it's something she's passionate about. So so we were just talking about this time, and she said to me, and I haven't forgotten this, is like, this time you have now, it's such a gift for you because you have this freedom now to do anything. Like you can create anything you want, and nobody is going to actually, get in your way or tell you not to do it. So that was the first time that I felt really like rewarded for kind of this mentality. And I love that. That feels great. So make cool stuff if you can, or watch TV, whatever. I mean, I would try not to, or, don't do it all day long. Do something that matters. But anyway, how infrequently do I break a board? Well, I've had boards that just don't break until I break it out of rage, which happens. And that can be really cathartic. And then I've had boards that I broke in a week. It all depends on kickflips. I break a lot of tails. I haven't snapped the middle of a board in a while, but I snap the tails off boards a lot if I'm like kickflipping over like a rail or something like that, and I just land with too much weight in the back, it'll just crack the tail. And the other one that I've done a lot is switch frontside flips, where a switch frontside flip, again, I land on the tail, and I just have a lot of weight on the tail. And if I'm doing it over like a bank, or I mean, I've done it on flat and just cracked it right off, but the last time I did it, it was on a bank. But for the most part, yeah, I crack tails. And I would say out of, I mean, because I'll just retire boards once they get dead. I would say 2 to 3 out of every 5, maybe 3 out of 5, maybe even 4, I crack or I break, and that's just par for the course, Do I still got those back tails? Yes. Backtails are my favorite grind, or slide, whatever. I've never been particularly good at slides and grinds. I wanted to jump down things, and do like board slides down handrails. So, and then as I got older, I couldn't do that anymore because my body couldn't take the impact of it, which is where I'm at now. Although now, like, I was skating a school earlier this week, and ZZ's actually an incredible. He's such a good skater. Like, he'll just do like a nollie inward heel flip like nothing, and then do a switch crook, and like what the fuck, dude. And he there was like this little stair set. It was like 4 stairs, and immediately I was like, oh god. I mean, he's jumping down. I'm like, I have to do this too, and so I ollied down the 4th stair and then 180'd it, and then got in this mode of like, I forgot how fun this is. Oh my god. So now I just want to like jump down everything, which, and like, it's a little irresponsible. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little dangerous, but my god, it feels so good, and it brought me back to being like 14 again. Because I mean, I would jump down 10 or 12 stairs when I was 15, but it's just like that thrill of like being in the air and landing and the impact. Oh my god, is it amazing? So, yeah, I still got backtails though. That was and kickflip backtails were kind of like that's like the most complicated and hardest thing I've ever done as far as a ledge trick goes. And I mean, my ankle is still pretty. I rolled it really badly, or did something to it really badly about 2 months ago, and I was out for 5 weeks. I couldn't skate or anything like that. And even now, like, kickflips are still pretty. It just feels weak. Like, my ankle responds slowly. It doesn't hurt too much. Still a little sore, but it's different. But that said, I was able to kickflip over a bench, like, 2 days ago, and that was a pretty like high kickflip. I was pretty stoked about that. I should post a picture of it because ZZ and I filmed it, and yeah, it was, I'll post a picture or something. But that felt good. And then I could make 10 albums in the time allotted for the plague. That's really that's a lot. That's a lot of work. I don't know. I'm gonna start with 1. We'll see how we get from there. Random. Do you ever see myself collaborating with Colin Fisher? I think you guys would make something awesome and dark. Maybe you guys have already, and I'm just forgetting. It's possible. I mean, we haven't spoken in a long time. We had coffee in Montreal a couple of years ago. That was the last time I saw him. Because I mean, I know he's doing full-time film scoring now, I think, or video game scoring, something like that. So yeah, I mean, I should actually talk to him. It's been a minute. I'm sure a lot to catch up on, especially right now. But I mean, we did technically collaborate, I think, didn't? Or no. Did he? No, Quadcore was me, Andrew, Jinx, and Trifon. But I think he remixed it? I don't know. I mean, that whole era of Anjuna beats, or Anjuna Deep, I guess, was like 2012-ish, 2011, I don't know, whatever it was. I mean, we were all just together all the time, whenever we were all, the shows together. It was just a blur, and, it's just, it was the only time in, like, my touring career where I felt like I had a family around me, which was a really nice thing. And, yeah, getting old is rough. It is. The recovery rate, everything takes so much longer. My God. Any more hints about dichotomy? Is it progressive house or techno or calliope-ish? A little bit of everything. It's not particularly aggressive. I don't think there are no heavy guitars on it, but there's a lot of guitar on the record. A lot of acoustic guitar, a lot of clean, kind of clean stuff. There's like finger-picked guitar. The opening single, that's almost kind of folky, and it's like folky techno in a way. Like, you know, when Avicii did "Wake Me Up," that was really lame, and I was like first concerned when, I mean, I know people are gonna hate that answer. But when I was working on this song, I had to then like, oh God, is this too cheesy? So I went back and I had to listen to that Avicii song just to like, and then 3 seconds said, nope, not the same at all. I'm good. But yeah, I'm actually a little bit nervous about that track because it's basically a folk song with like live strings. Like I played cello on it and all sorts of stuff. But then the backbone of it is very, very techno. But on top of it, it's all acoustic instrumentation. And it's really pretty. And Hybrid's remixing it. Oh yeah. So that's exciting. The rest of Dichotomy, yeah, it's the name is really fitting for the record because it's not. The album has a sound. It is absolutely a sound, but it's very, very traditionally instrumental in the sense of it's not a lot of. I mean, everything was done out of the box for the most part. I mean, it's all recording real instruments, and then but then doing the whole digital processing thing, and then the beats were all made electronically. But I mean, a lot of it's out of the box too. But I mean, actually, a lot of it was like I would go to Home Depot and like buy a bunch of like buckets and chains and bang those and turn that into loops and stuff like that. It's a very live record that's very, very synthetically live. I don't know. It is. It's an important record for me. I think it feels the most like a cohesive album compared to Patchwork or Ephemera, or the others. But yeah, you'll be hearing more about it soon. I'm gonna leave it at that. And then yeah, ever since D&B 7/8. Oh, I don't know who Flight is. And then right, Duda did the remix of Quadcore. That's right. I forgot about it. And yeah, folky techno. I don't really know. It's like basically it's like I have an alternate mix of it where I took out all the electronic elements and it's just a folk song. It's really like a very like quick finger picky folk record. Yeah, no other way to describe it. But it's a really I love that song. I mean, it was one of the first times I ever wrote a love song and didn't feel cheesy about it. Aside from Bleed Together. Bleed Together was the first time I ever like wrote a love song that was like cool. And then this one is definitely I like it. I really, really like it. I love it. But yeah, anyway, can't wait. Just do what I do. There's many sounds to sound. All you can do is sound like you. And that's what I did. So on that note, I've had a steak in the sous vide for the past hour, so I'm going to go eat that. And this skateboard is all put together. So we are all done. So have a great rest of your night, guys. And thanks for hanging out. And I will catch you the next time around. See you later.